What's up guys, and Naxxramas is right around the corner and we'll be going over what you need to know in order to be successful in this raid. Let's get into it. First up is Anub'Rekhan in the Spider Wing. The Spider Wing is considered the easiest wing in Naxxramas and will be where most guilds want to start their progression. Anub'Rekhan is accompanied by 2 Crypt Guards at the beginning of the fight, and they have 3 main abilities. Cleave is cleave that does about 1000 damage to melee. So off-tanks will need to make sure that they face the guards away from the raid so that they don't take any unnecessary damage. Acid Spit is a non-dispellable stacking debuff that does nature damage over time. Off-tanks can use a greater nature protection potion to help mitigate this damage if needed. Lastly, Crypt Guards will shoot out webs, rooting all nearby players around the Crypt Guard. Main tanks and off-tanks should use a free action potion before pulling the boss in order to get the bosses in position without being rooted. Crypt Guards are also susceptible to stuns, so you should stun lock them to minimize the amount of damage going on to the tanks. Anub'Rekhan has 3 main abilities. The first ability you will see is Impale. Anub'Rekhan will randomly target a player in the raid and shoot spikes in their direction, dealing up to 4000 physical damage and knocking them airborne, which will cause them to take fall damage when they land. The next ability is Locust Swarm. Locust Swarm occurs every 70 to 120 seconds, and will spawn a new Crypt Guard every time it is used. This Crypt Guard will need to be picked up and killed as fast as possible. On top of the summoned Crypt Guard, Locust Swarm is an AoE ability that does 875 to 1125 nature damage every 2 seconds in a 30-yard radius and silences those hit by it. Because of this, the main tank will have to kite the boss around the room until the effect is over. Luckily, Anub'Rekhan will move at 40% of his movement speed while channeling Locust Swarm, which makes him much easier to kite. You will be able to tell when this ability is coming because Anub'Rekhan will lift his tail and it will kind of look like he's bowing to the main tank. This is the cue for everyone to get out of range and for the main tank to start kiting the boss. Lastly, whenever a Crypt Guard dies, or a raid member dies, Anub'Rekhan will cast Summon Corpse Scarabs. When a Crypt Guard dies, 10 Corpse Scarabs will spawn, and whenever a raid member dies, 5 Corpse Scarabs will spawn. These need to be killed as soon as possible, because they will likely go straight for the healers due to healing aggro. They are susceptible to all types of AoE damage, so mages are huge here and should kill them as soon as they spawn. Now that we know the abilities, let's walk through the fight. Before the pull, the main tanks and off tanks will use a free action potion, so that they don't get rooted from the Crypt Guard web ability. The main tank will pick up Anub'Rekhan and position him on the opposite end of the room from where you enter. The 2 off tanks will pick up the Crypt Guards, take them to the opposite ends of the room and face them away from the raid so that the melee don't get cleaved. Pick 1 Crypt Guard to focus and burn it as fast as possible. The Crypt Guard not being focused should have 2 tanks on it in case the acid spit dot stacks too high, usually around 4 stacks. If it gets to that point, the other off tank should taunt the Crypt Guard to allow the acid spit stacks to fall off. Once those Crypt Guards go down, make sure you focus the Corpse Scarabs that spawn before moving on to Anub'Rekhan. The raid should position themselves in a semicircle around Anub'Rekhan and be as spread out as possible to minimize the amount of people hit by each Impale. Healers, make sure that you keep raid members topped off so that the Impale and subsequent fall damage doesn't kill them and lead to more Corpse Scarabs. When Locust Swarm is about to be cast, Anub'Rekhan will lift his tail and do that bow thing to the main tank that we talked about. The main tank will have about 2 seconds to get out and start kiting the boss around the east side of the room, or the west side, whichever you choose, back to the entrance, and one of the off tanks will pick up the summoned Crypt Guard and pull him to the east or west side of the room, whichever side is opposite to where the main tank is kiting Anub'Rekhan. The raid will down the Crypt Guard, kill the summoned Corpse Scarabs, and then reposition themselves back in the semicircle. And that's about it. Rinse and repeat until the boss is dead. There you have it guys, that will most likely be your first raid boss encounter of many in Naxxramas that we'll be going over here. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button to support this channel. I'm also live on Twitch throughout the week. Catch the link below for my full schedule and come hang out. That's it for me today guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.